Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back in another video to do my Avatar live action episode or season 2 episode 12 review. So so the episode it starts off with Aang. He's still practicing with Toph, his earthbending and whatnot. Also, that rock that Aang was carrying around in the beginning there did not look really good. Like in CGI, like I was like, "What the fuck is this?" But anyways. So this episode kind of is like mostly derives around Long Feng and Aang. Long Feng is essentially manipulating Aang, to get info out of him, like he's like watching over him and whatnot. We find out about that in this episode. By the way, I still don't like Long Feng's character at all in this series. He's obviously manipulating Aang to trust him when in reality he doesn't give two shits about Aang. But this is not what Long Feng was like. Long Feng did not act like this to Aang. You know what I mean? Wow, this is just whatever. So that was kind of the premise of most of this episode. By the way, I don't think I talked about this enough, but as a matter of fact, I don't think I mentioned it yet, but Toph talks about the vibrations and stuff like that. And that very soon that Aang's going to be able to do this as well. The problem is has Toph ever been established as somebody who can tell somebody's lying? You know what I mean there? Because that was something that she could do in the series, and that's never been, apparently, in this. Toph had talked to Katara and had mentioned that, eventually he's going to be able to feel the vibrations, and she hints at Katara, that Aang likes her, and whatnot, that apparently Toph can actually feel this from Aang. Toph tries to change the subject when Katara really presses it. So again, this is 3 episodes now that in this season that they have hinted at Katara and Aang to all the people that didn't think that it was going to be canon in this series. If you still don't think it's going to be canon in this series, I don't know what else is going to convince you at this point. Because I remember talking about this a year ago, that a lot of people thought, oh, they're not going to be together because of the stuff they changed in the first season. They changed a lot in this season, but, I told you guys they had to wait for them, the actors to actually get older, which is why they're doing it now in the series. I said that. I said they were not going to do it in season 1. They were not going to start teasing it at season 1. At least, in the noticeable way, like they're doing this season. Anyways, so I should mention Sokka, was he was handing out note because he knocked on Sai's door, because he wants to, go over more plans and making more equipment and stuff like that. He's knocking on the door for like days, and then he's putting notes down, which eventually was confiscated by the Dai Li. Later in the episode, Sokka actually busts the door down, right? And they find out that, he's missing in action and whatnot. And to me, I'm thinking to myself, why didn't he just do this the first day? You know what I mean? There, like, why didn't he just do this the first day? Like, several days went by. They showed him handing notes and stuff like that. Why, oh why, did he not just bust open the freaking door after the first day? You know what I mean? Like, just, the shit doesn't make sense, guys. Shit doesn't make sense. So, we had, Toph in this episode. She got kind of blackmailed by this guy who, I guess, like, found out that, her mother and father basically, like, paid, like, a Fire Nation factory or whatever. So, she had to, like, I don't know, attend a poet seminar, which that was in the original, by the way. But, there was a funny moment with, Toph and Sokka, with the poet thing. But anyways, so the Fire Nation aspect of the storyline, we had Zuko, who actually meets a person at the tea shop trying to find Uncle Iroh. She praises Uncle Iroh. Zuko just kind of chops it off, right? There's that in there. After that happens, after he leaves the tea shop, this sets up the whole storyline with Jet. Jet wants to, team up with Zuko again. Zuko kind of doesn't want to do it. And we basically find out that there are firebending refugees in Ba Sing Se. They got asylum. One of their, agreements is that they're not allowed to firebend, obviously. Okay. I'm not totally mad about this because that does sound a realistic thing that could happen. But, I mean, let's be honest right now. That's not what happened in the original source material. As a matter of fact, Jet, in the original, he wanted to go after Fire Nation, but the whole point of Ba Sing Se was that, they weren't going to allow people that are Fire Nation in there. This is why Zuko and Iroh, denied that they were firebenders. Okay? They denied when they were refugees in Ba Sing Se, they were, they had to pretend that they were not benders. Okay? They had to hide the fact that they were not firebenders. Basically, they wouldn't have to do it here because apparently there's refugees that are known to being firebenders. Okay? So I was not big on this plot. Zuko ends up warning them. Zuko then eventually helps them, as the Blue Spirit. Surprisingly enough, which again, I don't like this even being in this season 2, but the Painted Lady, aka Katara, shows up. and actually water bends jet or ice bends jet. Um, I didn't like this at all because this didn't happen in the original. Like, this was just completely left field bullshit right now. Um, the Painted Lady, to me, should have been saved for season 3. I don't like it being used in season 1 or season 2 at all. I don't understand why they had to rush this storyline arc. Um, but, a lot of the stuff they're doing, again, they rush to Ba Sing Se. They want everything mostly to be in Ba Sing Se, which I don't know why they have to have everything in Ba Sing Se. But they wanted to get everybody right into Ba Sing Se right away. Within 2 episodes, they were already in Ba Sing Se. So, you got, oh yeah, we should mention, Azula, planned with the general about, what they were going to do because, Fire Lord Ozai decided to put a postpone on the plan. He didn't give really a plan. The general tried to lie to Azula, and Azula wasn't having it and wasn't believing him, and so they had to come up with another plan. Azula basically said, "Are you loyal to me?" And he says, "Yeah." So like he basically just does whatever she wants, and so Azula, May, and Ty Lee, excuse me, basically they go after the Kyoshi Warriors because the Kyoshi Warriors actually overheard their plan. Because they were not in Ba Sing Se. So they overheard the plan. And so they fight. The 2 Kyoshi Warriors get taken out by May and Ty Lee. But then they get taken out by Suki, and then Suki has to fight Azula, and Azula ends up obviously beating her. They don't show it. They don't show her getting beat, which is kind of ironic because we know what happens, but I guess they were trying to make it look like what the anime did. By just not showing it at the end, by showing the lightning flash to kind of pan away from it. So there was that. We then see Aang basically. He's trying to fend off from Judy. So Katara tries to kind of again, I'm kind of skipping things here because this happened before that, but with the whole thing with Jet, but Katara, she follows Jet, which leads to the plan with the Painted Lady thing. But Aang, he's going the other direction, and he ends up getting caught, and he is teleported or earthbend to a different place. Where the general confronts him. Our gender bend general. And she has to convince him that, yeah, she's, on her side and stuff like that because, she actually understands about the war outside of Ba Sing Se. So she asks what the plan is, and he basically says, there's a day of black sun, or I'm sorry, the Sozin Comet, and whatnot. Oh, I also forgot to mention the librarian guy. Also, gets plans for Zuko. And he actually does mention the library, by the way. Even though they totally skipped that, he still wants to go to the library, and whatnot. So there's that. But anyways, and this was the part where where the general basically tells Aang, the Dai Li, or I'm sorry, the Long Feng is basically the head of the Dai Li, and that he's basically not your friend. And this was a conflict with him because Aang really believes that Long Feng was like his friend and he trusted him. He was, he even got questioned by Katara and Sokka about it. It was like, you trust him more than us? You know what I'm saying? So, Aang really trusted Long Feng, which again, as I mentioned in the last episode review, as well as early in this episode review, this is totally an assassination of Long Feng's character, because this is not how a Long Feng acted at all in the original. The original, he was, front and center. He had his duties take care of it and stuff like that, and then once things got unattainable, he then had to step in. He was manipulative, even manipulated to the king about the war. And this is something that, he is just not doing in this at all. He's doing the opposite. He's trying to have a calm approach, try to gather information and whatnot. Yeah, not a fan of that at all. So after all this happens, Aang just, he wants to speak to the king. And then you got the Dai Li agents that come in and be like, no. And then you got Long Feng being like, no, you don't have to worry about it. And then there's another Judy that comes in, and Aang's like, who are you? Because it's a different person now. It's like, I'm Judy. So yeah, there's that. So the end of the episode, you basically have the setup to how the original Fire Nation, or how Azula, infiltrated. She dresses and disguises all three of them as the Kyoshi Warriors. However, they capture, or they claim they captured a general, which, it's obviously the Fire Nation general in disguise. But they did this so they could infiltrate Ba Sing Se. So this is what ends up happening. And that's how the episode ends. This episode just had a lethal dose of problems. Like, it was just all over the place. I don't know what they were going for here. They were like, there was also a good moment with, they did mention the whole thing with Uncle Iroh, paying tribute to his son in this episode. He going through his mental psyche of his son dying when he tried to conquer Ba Sing Se. They showed panels earlier of, earthbenders that, want people to remember that the war does exist outside the walls. And then there was a guy who tried to, basically take Iroh's money if he didn't comply. And Iroh, is like, he's just going through a mental breakdown that he doesn't even care if he stabs him. So, oh yeah, and the Cabbage Man was around too during the distraction of the Judy thing. I don't think I mentioned the Cabbage Man. But yeah, the emotional moment of Iroh was a very touching moment. Probably one of the more emotional moments. I think it could have been done a little better since the tribute to the son was a tribute to the voice actor Mako, who had passed away, who was Uncle Iroh's original voice actor. I think they could have done a little better of a tribute on this because that scene was a very heavily highlight moment for the series because the legendary Mako voice actor had passed away. Uncle Iroh's original voice actor. I think they could have done it a little. I think it could have been done a little better. It kind of felt like, yes, here it is, and let's move on. I don't think it. Again, I a lot of the time consuming felt very rushed in a lot of these episodes, and this was one of them that I don't think needed that. I think they needed to take their time on this because that was a highlight moment in the Avatar series. But yeah, overall, this episode was all over the place. I mean, there's no really one pick point about it. I guess the best highlight was the fight between the Kyoshi Warriors and Azula's team because, that is how it really happened in the series. A lot of these things that they did in this episode, for the most part, a lot of this stuff was not the way it went in the original. And the depictions of the series just aren't there compared to in season 1, where it seemed like season 1 felt a lot more fluid compared to what they've done so far in this season. This season feels very rushed, and they skipped a lot of plot points. Mischaracteristics is very evident with Longfang. And the thing with Toph, what does Toph have to do with what their parents are doing? Also, the parents, you know what I mean? The parents, selling a factory to the Fire Nation when they worship the Avatar. First of all, the Bossing Say parents worshiping the Avatar was a mistake in itself. But then we find out that, that they may have been selling some stuff for the Fire Nation, factories or whatever. Come on. What is this? What is this, guys? What's gonna be next? Are we gonna skip the Day of Black Sun too? It seems like they're not gonna go with the drill plot either, because there was also, Azula's original plan was the drill, right? That was the original plan. They totally skipped that. And they're going right into the, Kyoshi Warrior, a warrior infiltration plot, which again was probably the best thing of this. Again, the Painted Lady plot, I didn't like this at all, because the Painted Lady is supposed to be something that happens in the Fire Nation season. So, yeah, all around, I don't understand where they're going with this right now. I'm just hoping that and praying that when we get to the final battle of season 2 that it's actually depicted very similar to the series. Otherwise, I don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, overall, just very disappointing, guys. You know, anyways, yeah, that is the episode. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure to comment, rate, subscribe, like, all this stuff. It helps out the channel. Yeah, that's it, guys. I am the Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace. Also, make sure, besides my YouTube channel, to make sure to follow me on the Twitch, the Instagram, and I do have a Discord link in the description where we discuss various topics, including this one here. Also, I do have a YouTube community post if you don't want to join the Discord, where I post community stuff that sometimes I might not get to on a video. So, yeah, check that out. Now I'm out. Peace.